Good afternoon, van lifers. Hi. It's just a quick one. A couple of weeks ago we went to the NEC for the Caravan and Motorhome show because the Indy project was going to be there. And I thought, I can't miss that chance. It'd be good to meet them. They were doing a talk and I thought it would really help and just jumped at the chance to go. So we went down there and had a really good day. They've got a wealth of knowledge. You know, they've been there, they've done it. So we really racked their brains, listened to their talk, and really got some great information. Really enjoyed it. So they couldn't record it, so I had a camera. I recorded the footage. It's a little bit shaky in places, but you know, it's good enough. So I hope you enjoy it. Please watch, subscribe. Sorry, there's a squirrel. Please watch, subscribe, like, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.
Living and travel. So we travelled around Europe. We did a year and a half travelling Europe in our old VW T4. We did 80,000 miles, 23 different countries, and it was an absolutely amazing experience. So our presentation today is going to talk all about our European adventure and what we got up to and any tricks and tips and things that we learned along the way, basically. But the reason it started is we were both working jobs. We were a little bit fed up doing the 9-to-5 thing, and we wanted to escape and we wanted to get out and kind of see the world. So one day B came home and I was like, we're going to move into a van, and she looked horrified, absolutely horrified. She was like, no way am I going to move into a van. I managed to persuade her, and yeah, we bought a van and we headed off to Europe.
So this is the van that we got. It was a lot smaller than I wanted initially. When you first said to me we'll move into a van, I thought we'll get a nice big one. And we'll also get one with a bathroom in it, one that we can stand up in, and then we ended up with that. Really tiny van, but actually it was perfect for us.
And I don't know if you guys know, so that was the first night we stayed in the van on our trip, and that's in Dungeness. And it's a really kind of spooky, strange area, but I love it. Right next to a nuclear power station. It's really random, and we actually went full circle, so we spent our first night of the European trip there and the last night there as well.
So this is the inside of the van. We made it as homely as we could for the small space. Had everything we needed in it, although I really wanted an oven. We've just built that into our new one, thankfully. But I made do with just one hob, and it was perfect.
Yeah, it's really important, obviously, to make
professional mountain biker Ali Clarkson will be in the live theatre in just over 10 minutes as Sunlight launch their new range of products.
But yeah, it's really important to, obviously, if you're going to be living in your van or whatever, it's really nice to make it homely because you're spending a lot of time in there. It's a small space, make it as homely as possible. And I think we managed to do that with this van.
So this was 3 days into our trip, and it was the beginning of, well, it was like a year, and it already felt like we'd been on the road for about a year by 3 days. And it's really weird how time goes when you're travelling in a van.
Flies.
And we kind of took this because we needed a photo of us together with our van.
We started a blog.
Yeah, we were like, we need a photo for our blog, so that's the photo that we took. And this was at a wild camping spot, and we made sure that we wild camped most of the trip, mainly so our budget could stretch for the whole year and a half. So this is another wild camping spot. This is an air in the south of France, just on the border with Andorra. And it was really cold. You can see the defroster for the windscreen. We didn't have a heater, so it was, you know, blanket every single layer you could get on kind of weather. But once we got over the mountains there into Spain, it was a totally different story.
We were so new to it, we didn't realise that a heater was like even a thing really, and we'd find ourselves in really cold areas.
This was a gorgeous location in the Dolomites, really quiet at that time of year. There was actually no one there. It was the end of the ski season and too early for summer, so we had it all to ourselves.
So this is in the Lofoten Islands. You got the sun setting and then the aurora, northern lights to the left. Another free camping spot. The more free camping spots you can stay at, like the more your money's gonna the longer your money's going to go, basically.
And we stayed at spots like this where there was no hotel there, there was no one there, it was just literally the end of the road, so being in a van meant that we could have the place all to ourselves.
And this particular spot in Greece, this is where we started our YouTube channel. And the reason we started the YouTube channel is, one, I get quite bored easily, so you have a lot of time on your hands when you're traveling, so if you've not got a hobby or you've not got anything to do, B loves reading and just relaxing, whereas I'm a bit more kind of hyperactive. So we filmed our first video for YouTube on there just to show family and friends literally how blue the sea was, because I was on the phone to my dad at the time and I couldn't explain to him how beautiful the area was, so I thought I'd just show him, and that's where our YouTube channel started.
Another wild camping spot, this time in Tesco in Poland. We wanted to go there, so we only had one night. We woke up in the morning surrounded by coaches. They weren't there, we went to sleep, but yeah.
So not so glamorous, but it's all part of the puzzle. You know, you can't always have a perfect camping spot every night. There's always something down the line, there's always a better camp spot down the line, but sometimes you just have to make do with the car park or something like that.
And we actually travelled with our bikes in the van. We didn't have a bike rack because we weren't planning on having bikes. It wasn't until we got to Copenhagen and everyone was riding bikes and our feet were sore from walking around. We thought bikes would be a great idea, and these ones fit perfectly inside the van, so we could travel with them all over Europe.
And it's luckily that they did fit perfectly inside the van because we didn't test it before we bought them. So it's very, very lucky that they did. But they were so good, especially when you're going to cities. You can park just outside the city, parking's cheaper, parking's more available, especially if you've got a bigger van, and you can just ride into the city.
And this is just emptying the toilet, which is just part of van life.
Yeah, not the nicest part of van life. I definitely recommend composting toilet if you can have one. But yeah, that's the most glamorous shot I could get of being emptying a toilet.
So our whole trip was basically, we didn't have a goal, but we really wanted to go to the Arctic Circle. So this was on the way there, and it's really beautiful, tiny weeny island called Fjord in Denmark. But actually a random guy rode up on his tiny motorbike and was like, "Oh, have you heard of this island called Fjord?" And we were like, "No, but we'll go there because it sounds lovely." And it was amazing. There was hardly anyone there. And this was actually a really hot day. I remember you cooked in the van there when you were editing something.
But yeah, we like to kind of, you know, get to know the locals of the area, take part in activities that they might do that's different to our normal culture. So they actually did a hike all the way around the island, which was slightly longer than we thought it was going to be. But we managed to complete that. But it's really nice just to get to know the locals, and if you speak to the locals and you get to know the locals, they know the best spots and the best areas to go to.
So this was in Norway, just on the outskirts of a gorgeous town called Odder, which is kind of like the gateway to the Trolltunga hike, which we'll show you a photo of. But this glacier, we drove past it so many times and we eventually were like, we need to hike up there. We didn't really hike before we moved into the van. We weren't very active in that sense, but going into Norway really changed that for us.
So this was kind of like the gateway to a beautiful hike, and when we started traveling, Instagram wasn't really a big thing. It had only been out for a year. There wasn't a whole lot of images on there. Like, you can go on Instagram now and see all these amazing places and kind of get an idea for where you might want to travel to. So I was just Googling places and seeing what was in the local area, and I found a picture of someone standing on a massive, like, sticky out piece of rock, and I was like, I need to go there. B managed to track it down, and there we are. So it's quite funny actually, because you see that and in the wilderness, and you know, it's a long hike to get there, quite a hard hike, but actually there's a queue of people lining up to get up their photo on that rock. And yeah, me being a photographer, I set up on a tripod, knew exactly the shot I wanted, stood on the rock, and it was all overcast. I think people were like shouting at me to get off the rock, and I was waiting for the light to come out. The light came out and I started screaming at B to take the photo, and got this beautiful image.
So So after we managed to get the photo on the rock, we moved up to the Arctic Circle, which was a really long journey up through Norway. There's no motorway all the way there, actually kind of stops and turns into a normal road. So it took days to drive thousands of miles, but we made it up there, got the photo, imagined it would be like that, but actually it was really beautiful. The mountains up there were just unreal.
So we kind of raced to get to the Lofoten Islands in the Arctic Circle for my birthday. So this was taken the day before, or the night before my birthday, on the 24th of August, and we were treated to beautiful light, amazing weather. A lot of people say you can't see the Northern Lights in August. Well, we wanted to prove them wrong. Part of the reason people don't see the Northern Lights is because they don't actually get out of their van to look at the Northern Lights, and you can't see them if you're not outside. So what I did is I set up a tripod and left my camera on time-lapse mode all night, just to see if I could capture any Northern Lights, and we did. And from that point we knew that the Northern Lights were possible to see at that time. And then we had about 30 days or 30 nights that we saw the Northern Lights, so much so B wouldn't even get out of bed to look at them anymore, because she'd seen them that many times. But it's an incredible experience. The first time I saw them, I got out of the van, went for a wee, and I looked up and I saw these funny clouds, and I just started screaming to B, "The Northern Lights!" And yeah, it was a really amazing experience.
So the photo is just everywhere you look, it's gorgeous. You don't even have to get out of the car if you don't want to, because the views are just amazing from the car.
This is Unstad?
Unstad. So there was a surf school there. I never knew that people would surf in such cold oceans until we got there, and people were surfing all times of the day, all times of weather.
Yeah, they surf all the way through the winter, amazing waves. Yeah, beautiful little area, beautiful camp spot.
We had to get a loan out to get that. Food's expensive in Norway.
Norway's expensive. If you want to go on a diet and don't really want to have to try, go to Norway, because you just can't afford to eat there. Yeah, my sister wired us over some cash and she said, "Oh, I want you guys to go out for a meal in Norway." It only bought us an individual pizza between the both of us, but at least we got to view it, eat the pizza in a beautiful area.
That's just another shot of Norway, just can't get over how lovely it is. And Theo's photography really came out when we were travelling there. He would spend a lot of time outdoors taking photos.
Yeah.
And
So
it was just really nice.
a lot of people are concerned with like small spaces, spending time with their partner, and you know, how do you not kill each other? The reason is you do get time. You have hobbies, and you might like running, or you might like cycling or hiking. And I'd go off hiking up mountains and get up for sunrise and sunset. So I'd be out the van a lot, and B would have her time to just chill in the van, read a book. So you do have your separate time. You still are together a lot, but you just make it work.
This was a wild camping spot, which was one of our favourite places to stay. I don't know if you can actually still stay there anymore, because it's got very popular over the years, but that's actually a lovely little town called Raina that you can get a lovely view over that I'll show you in a second. This is just another spot that you just couldn't pay to stay at. If we weren't in a van, we never would have got this photo, because you would have just had to park there and just go back to your hotel at the end of the day.
You can be the wealthiest person in the world, but there's no hotel there, and you can't pay to stay there. So that's the amazing thing with a vehicle, is you can park up pretty much anywhere, and you've got your home with you. And yeah, it's unbelievable the places that you can stay.
See a lot of red buildings in Norway. We've never seen it before we got there, and they just look so lovely amongst the landscape like that. They just build homes in some really crazy places. You just wouldn't see that in the UK. And yeah, hiking, like we said earlier, really got into it when we were in Norway, because it was just the thing to do there when the weather was clear, which it wasn't always. There was a lot of rain, but when it was a nice day, we'd just go out and just hike. And that's the view of Raina from a really crazy hike.
If you follow our YouTube channel, you know that we're probably not that sensible. And I decided with B to hike this at night. This is a very dangerous hike. There's lots of rockfall and stuff like that, but I really wanted the Northern Lights shot over the, like from this angle. and yeah, we we nearly died. A rock came tumbling down, you could feel the ground moving, and yeah, we just had to duck. I threw myself in front of B that she was laughing about afterwards, because she was like, what are you going to do with a big boulder coming at you? We're both going to get wiped out. But luckily it went to the left of us, and we ran down the mountain after that. So yeah, it's always best to be cautious and safe when you're hiking and out in the wilderness, but yeah, maybe I'll get that shot one day.
And it was because of the Northern Lights that Theo risked our lives that night, because you became a bit of a Northern Lights photographer whilst you were there.
Yeah, these are like codfish racks, so they hang the fish up there to dry. So I'd like to get quite low to shoot the Northern Lights, so I ended up lying under here for probably an hour while I was getting this shot, and it smelled fish.
The occasional head. I don't know if you can see it on here.
No.
I can't see it from this angle, but that is a shot of the Northern Lights, but from here it's just like clouds.
So this is the very furthest point of the Lofoten Islands.
Yeah, a little town called Ore, beautiful place. And yeah, the van photographed really nicely under the aurora. Selfies.
Little selfie.
This was the location where we first saw the Northern Lights. We went back there a few times because, as you can see, the mountains just came straight out of the fjord. It was really nice.
Yeah, I'd spend hours just playing around with different camera settings and like setting up on the tripod and trying to pose in front of them and stuff. And yeah, it's good fun. This was actually further north in Tromsø, or just outside of Tromsø. This lake's actually frozen. I walked across it and set up a time lapse. That night it got to -8 in the van. We had to sleep with our water bottles so that we have a drink in the morning. The olive oil had frozen over. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and we definitely, well, we fitted a heater in our new van. I'd definitely recommend kind of getting some sort of heating in your van if you can, because you know, even in the summer it can get quite cold in certain places, so that's something we definitely learned. We definitely overstayed our welcome in Scandinavia.
Because of that, because we couldn't leave, because we were seeing that every single night, and it was really difficult to finally be like, you know what, we really need to head south. And yeah, it just was constant. And then also we'd like to have campfires underneath it, because we didn't have an oven in the van. We spent a lot of time outside, a lot of time making campfires so we could have jacket potatoes and stuff, because we got bored of pasta pretty fast. With one hob in the van, you know, you did get a bit creative, but any excuse for a campfire, Theo was on it.
Popcorn as well, popcorn on the campfire. But yeah, we've had fires all over the place. Like, you just got to obviously make sure that you basically leave no trace, so clean up when you leave. But yeah, fires are just a great way to, you know, cook food that you wouldn't necessarily be able to cook in your van if you don't have an oven.
So we've had fires in probably every single country we've been to.
This is
there.
Isle of Harris in Outer Hebrides.
We saw a lot of wildlife when we were in the van. You're so close to nature, all you have to do is open the sliding door and there you go, you're outside. And this little fella ran straight past our van in Copenhagen, and Theo followed him down to the water's edge and got a really lovely photo. He came back with something in his mouth, and it looked like a crow or something. And yeah, we've had goats try and get in the van. This was in Greece.
Sheep will rub themselves up against your van. You're like,
funny when that happens.
Oh, someone knocking on the van. Oh no, it's just sheep.
And this otter, we'd actually gone looking for whales that day. We didn't see any whales, and then as we were driving back, it was walking up the road, and it didn't care at all. It didn't move out of the way, so we just pulled over and followed it on foot for a bit, because I'd never seen an otter in the wild before. And then that night when we got back to our parka, a minke whale came straight out of the fjord, so we were like, oh, what an amazing day, we didn't have to go anywhere to see the whales. So that was brilliant.
Yeah, usually when we get to like a wild camping spot or free camping spot, we kind of get out and we kind of assess the area, check everything's all right, and then, you know, when a whale comes out the water right next to you, you're like, okay, yeah, we're going to hang around here for a few days.
And this was our first pet. Gingy wasn't our first pet. We actually picked up the sea urchin, and he travelled with us for a long time. He didn't have to be fed or watered, he was great. But he fell out of the window, and I feel really bad because I don't know when that happened. I think it's just something wrong. So Then we got a real pet. Gingy Bear is really, really good in the van. She just sits on your lap when you drive, and she gets a bit moody when you put the harness on her first, because she wants to just run off and do her own thing, but if I let her do that, she'll be straight up the tree.
But yeah, it's really common obviously to travel with dogs, but it's pretty common to travel with cats now. You know, there's a lot of people, even a chicken. I've seen someone with a chicken. So if you have got a cat and you're thinking, oh, I want to go travelling but I'm not sure, it's worth just going out in the van and seeing how your cat reacts to it, because obviously cats have different personalities. Our cat's very adventurous, likes climbing trees and she's being naughty, but she's good fun and she is up for van life. So if you've got a younger cat, probably adapt pretty well, but if you've got an older cat as well, they'll probably adapt equally as well.
Because all they want to do is sleep at night. And yeah, Theo, your editing and photography really, really got into it, like we said, so he could escape me when we were on the road and have a break. Your MacBook was basically your entire brain.
Yeah.
Everything was on there. So you got into this photography mode and we created this beautiful time-lapse film of Norway. And these are some shots of him, well, that's actually me obviously. Yeah, never had hair that long, but taking photos on our trip, some beautiful locations. This is Kalvika, that was in Lofoten. There's actually a really lovely documentary of these two guys who hiked there and built a little cabin and they surfed there. North of the Sun.
North of the Sun.
So,
Check
yeah,
that documentary out.
That's a brilliant documentary. They built a cabin on that beach, lived there throughout the winter and were surfing. And
It's about an hour hike, isn't it?
yeah, this is a mountain overlooking that beach. Really lovely place. And this was just ridiculous. Theo hiking with this for a whole hour to get a shot. Did you even use it in the end?
I didn't even take a photo in the end because I got so angry that the weather was not how I expected it to be that I just threw a fit and yeah, ended up just hiking back down with all my equipment.
Yeah, this was on our way south through Switzerland. You can't tell, but that was actually November time. We were a bit on edge at that point because we'd had the really cold weather when we were in Sweden and Norway. We were like, we need to get south because we wanted to go to Spain for Christmas, and we thought we've got to go through Switzerland. And luckily, the weather was absolutely beautiful. This was in the south of Germany, in Garmisch-Partenkirchen. We got there at night, so we had no idea what it was going to be like, and the mountains there are just ridiculous.
And I don't know
beautiful.
if any of you guys have watched our documentary about us hiking the Kungsleden, but if you go on our YouTube channel, there's a feature-long documentary of us hiking 440 kilometres through Arctic Sweden, and we met some people in the Lofoten Islands, and they'd recently just started renting a place here. He was a photographer, so we went to meet up with them. He'd had quite a bit to drink, hadn't he? And he was like raving about this hike. Oh, I really want to do this hike, but it's really long. And we all just kind of made a pact that, you know, we'd do this hike. So 2 months later, we were on the trail and we did that hike. So it's great the people that you meet along the travels as well. Like we've met people who are like friends for life now.
This was in Spain on our way south, in beautiful Sierra Nevada mountains, absolutely stunning. That was purely accidental as well, finding that road. We had no idea it was there. We were like, oh, there's some mountains, let's head there. And it was just unreal, totally deserted as well. This was in Greece, the weirdest rock formations ever. It's called Meteora, and it's like monasteries built on top of some of the rocks, and it's just totally crazy. And then this little road here was really difficult. There was a sign at the bottom of it that said, vehicles longer than 5 meters, I think, don't go up here. And we were like, we're just over 5, we can do it. And we had to like reverse back round corners to get up there. It was a total nightmare.
So obviously we showed you lots of pretty images and, you know, we're living the dream and everything's perfect, but then bad things can happen. We were kind of very laid back because we've been in Scandinavia for so long, and then we ended up in Spain quite quickly after, and we parked somewhere that we probably shouldn't have parked, and we came back to the van, they've ransacked it and they took everything.
Even our Christmas presents. So our family had sent us because we were planning on spending Christmas on a beach.
Yeah.
And they took that. It's probably just socks and pants, but they got our Christmas presents. So yeah, that was really sucky situation, and it did kind of put a bit of a weird twist on our trip, but we didn't let it stop us. And after we had our window replaced, because that's how they'd got in, we got all of our equipment replaced that they'd stolen.
Yeah, it was a
and then we were
fairly
back on the road.
expensive experience because it cost us about £1,000 to get a ferry back to the UK, or return back to the UK. And then we had to go through the whole insurance process, be interviewed by the insurance company. Luckily we had it all on film. We had you know, police report and all of that kind of stuff. So if anything does happen, make sure you get a police report because it's really useful. But yeah, we bounced back. Like, life's too short to let someone like that ruin our trip, so we went straight back into it.
And this is what we've been up to this year. So we said goodbye to our old van, which was really sad, but by that time we knew we wanted a bigger van. We wanted something we could stand up in, have an oven in, and have a fixed bed. So we made the plunge and went for a bigger van that still hasn't got a name. Everyone keeps asking, but we don't have a name. We can't think of one yet.
Any ideas, let us know.
Yeah, if you've got an idea, do holler. And this is the van. So she looks a bit different now. We're updating her constantly. We're really getting close to the end. So this was a few weeks ago now. We pretty much finished the kitchen, so that'll be a video coming out tomorrow about the kitchen.
So we're doing a new van, and that's just kind of all the inspiration that we've got from all the people we've met and all the different vans that we've seen, and we're kind of trying to build our perfect van for us. Budget wise, because I know a lot of people are wondering like, oh, so how much is it going to cost to travel for a year in Europe? And we had a budget of £10,000, and we did a lot of miles. We did 23 different countries, and we were quite strict with the budget, but we were living quite well as well. It wasn't kind of scrimping that much. So £10,000 for the experiences that we got, I don't think is actually that much money. So yeah, that's it for the talk. If any of you guys have got any questions, then feel free to ask us now, and we can try and answer. 240 hookup. Yes, so we will be having 240 hookup. We probably won't use it much, but we think it's a sensible idea to have it just in case, you do end up on a campsite. We also have a small generator that we have in the van as well, so if we're in a place like Norway where it's been raining for 2 weeks non-stop and you're not necessarily getting much solar, then we can plug our generator in just to top our batteries up. So yeah, definitely.
Bathroom.
A shower.
Everyone wants to know why we haven't got a shower, and that's purely because we've managed without one for so long in the old van.
Hang on, maybe that's why they're keeping their distance.
And also, pretty much everyone we meet who's got a shower has just said it's a waste of space. We've ended up just turning it into a closet. Because when you're wild camping and stuff, you don't really have the water to be able to shower regularly, because most of the time it's quite difficult to find water, so it's another reason why.
Yeah,
we're happy with our little outside pump shower that uses hardly anything at all. And you just don't shower every day. Dry shampoo, wet wipes.
You don't want to spend your whole trip looking for water constantly so that you can shower and stuff. I think you can always plan and kind of know where your next shower's coming from, and there's loads of good apps like Park for Night where there might be free showers available, or I don't know, like swimming baths and stuff. You can pay like a one-off fee to go in there and use their showers, truck stops. But a lot of people just end up using it for storage and not actually using it for a shower because of the water situation. So we decided against that. And also, we were in America not too long ago, and we had the Winnebago Revel that we were trying out, and that had 3 different showers in it. I had one shower inside that I could barely fit inside, so I ended up not only using that once, and I used the shower that came out the garage area and found that much nicer. And I love just showering in nature. It's quite nice. So yeah,
About a couple of weeks ago, it was the first night.
Yeah.
It was wild camping, and we felt on the first night quite exposed.
Yeah.
Sort of like we laid in bed and was like, This is like, because we're on our own car park and you could hear people sort of driving in.
Yeah.
Is that something you got used to, and how do you like scope out
You definitely
areas?
get used to it. The first night is terrifying because everyone's like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. Can I do that? Is someone going to tell me off? And we've only ever been spoken to once the whole time we've been travelling in the van.
It's like the G7 summit in
Yeah,
Germany, and we
they
were
were
like
"You're in a
parked up, and they
suspicious
saw
van."
this dodgy white van, and they knocked on the door and just because they were pulling up the drain covers and sealing them down and stuff. All the politicians who were coming into the area, and they were just like, after you finish your breakfast, if you can move on, that'd be great. Super polite, but we've never had a problem with anyone moving us on in 5 years.
There's like, trust your gut, but don't let like your mind, because you're going to be freaking out a bit because you're like, oh no. But if you literally feel unsafe, don't stay there because you will not sleep.
Them sounds eventually, like when you've done it for a few weeks or a month, them sounds will just become normal to you. You won't think anything of it, and you'll just carry on and you'll
People
be fine.
don't pay attention to you. We've been in places where there's been people, we've slept overnight in pretty much any kind of car park location you can think of, and no one pays you any attention. You feel like everyone knows you're there. No one knows you're there, or if they do, they don't really care.
Like, you've got to think, like, would you personally go up to someone's van and knock on and say, what you doing? You probably wouldn't, so they're not going to do that to you. So it's just, I guess just doing it. Like, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get, and then the kind of more confident you get. And the more you do it, the more you kind of know how to find a wild camping spot. So like, it's like instinct, and you'll be like, oh, that looks a road that might lead to somewhere good. And that's half of the fun of it, is like finding these spots down dead end lanes and like in random places.
But then didn't realise about the wind.
Yes.
How much that would then
So in Portugal, we were parked up by the sea, and the wind was that bad. They put these kind of like air raid sirens on to warn you like that it's that bad, and the van felt like it was going to flip over. If that happens, like, you want to get up and repark the van into the wind, and it makes a big difference. Especially now we've got a high-sided vehicle. It really, like in Portugal especially, people's vans have flipped over, high-sided vans. So yeah, make sure you're parking into the wind. Any other questions?
Yes, we have, and we didn't realise until afterwards. We were like, oh my gosh, we went under the bridge with the stuff on the roof.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god, we went under a bridge.
We need to measure it. Like, we need to measure it because, ducking's not going to help, is it? So yeah, but that's one of the first things we're going to do. Once the van's finished, we'll measure the height. I mean, we've booked onto the ferry, and we've kind of, we probably should have measured it, but hopefully they'll let us on.
Off if we need to.
Has it been easy to move around with your cat, like through different borders and stuff? Do they check a lot about the animals?
We've only travelled in the UK with Gingy. We have got a pet passport for her, so I guess
We
find
haven't
out.
heard any problems with that at all. Like,
It's
they're quite
only
relaxed.
when you get to countries that have borders where you have to show your passport that they will start checking and wanting to see stuff. But like going through like the Schengen zone and where there's no borders, like France and Spain and stuff, no one checks there.
Really easy. It shouldn't be a problem at all.
Just make sure you got a pet passport and you're sorted.
What's the stage of the planning our route? We're trying to go from Europe, like based on important days at various countries.
Okay, that's cool.
Okay.
How did you always route?
We planned our route mainly by the seasons because we wanted to go to Norway, and we knew that obviously in the winter time it's going to be very hot. So that's mainly the way we planned our route, to be fair. I mean, we're not very good at planning things. We kind of just had a general idea that we wanted to go to some places and then just kind of played it by ear, really. That sounds like a really clever way
that's
to
really
plan.
clever. You're way more
Way
organised
better
than we
than
are.
us.
So did you have
what's your opinion on Chinese diesel heaters?
A lot of people use them, but I don't actually have any experience with them, so I can't really say.
Yeah, I haven't got any experience with them. We recently got a Webasto Air Top 40, I think it's called, and I was speaking with the Webasto rep, and he was telling me some quite scary, because they've kind of deconstructed these things, and personally, like, I probably wouldn't touch them myself. Yeah, I think, you know, when your health and safety is involved, I'd try. I've not heard any like blowing up, but you know, it's one of them things, and I always believe in like buy once, not twice, and
That's probably what I believe. But when you look at the price, the Truma combi boiler, and then you see 200 quid for a Chinese diesel.
Yeah, it's expensive, and that's the sole reason we didn't. When we found out heaters were actually a thing before we went travelling, we couldn't afford one. That's you know, if we did buy a heater, that would have obviously. We didn't know that this was going to kind of turn into our lifestyle and our job, so we had this certain amount of time and a certain amount of budget, and if we spent so much on a heater, that would obviously cut down on how long we could travel. So it's I can fully understand like that it's kind of catch-22.
Yeah, it was always the Truma. We was always going for the Truma, and then I saw these and I was like, wow, it's such a saving. But they're not keen. So. Well, I said cheap Chinese diesel heater. I think that was what put her off.
Yeah, I guess you know it's probably you've got to think like how can they make it that cheap? And the components just aren't going to be as good quality, I guess. So it will either probably break earlier or you know I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it myself just because I'd hate for anything to happen. You know, but I haven't heard of anything happening, so I can't really. Any other questions? Yep.
We get asked that a lot. Right now we're going to keep our land just for us, for family and friends, because we're not going to be there all the time. But maybe in the future, maybe. Yeah,
we never know. Like we definitely kind of got lots of ideas, and we want to make some cool kind of structures and interesting places to stay on the land. But not just of yet, just because we're so busy doing other stuff. We wouldn't really have time to kind of work it. But yeah, we might be possibly in the future looking for people to kind of stay on the land while we're not there, kind of thing. Because we're probably going to be there 6 months of the year and then go travelling for 6 months of the year. So when it gets too hot in Portugal, we'll be going somewhere cold. So a bit of both. We're going to do as much as we can, and then we'll probably get like the final like sign off and the final kind of hookup. A professional electrician to do it. It's kind of like so we had our gas fitted recently, and we probably could have done some of it ourselves, but we just thought with gas and electrics we don't really have any expertise in that side, so it's best to be safer than sorry kind of thing, especially in a small space. So we're going to do as much electrics as we can, and we're very close on deciding we bought our solar panel, now we just need to get our batteries and all the other components, and hopefully going to be ordering that tomorrow, and then we can start fitting that next week sometime. Anyone else?
We end it there.
Well, cool. Thank you so much. For joining us. We'll be hanging around for a little bit, so if you do have any other questions, just feel free to ask. Yeah, happy travels.